Now, the key here is the conversation. Because remember, I'm always going to be closing. You should always be closing. But when you're always closing, let's not use those tired, old questions. Would you if I could? And my boss says just a little more. And maybe I'll half it with you. No. Have a conversation. We've all done this. You know, in conversations, every time you're in the conversation, somebody's buying and somebody's selling. And you want to be the guy that's selling whenever you're having a conversation. And then we've done this since time immortal. You did this when you met your wife. You did this when you were having dinner. You do this when you're at the ball game. You want to be the guy that's always selling. So when you're talking to that customer, and we'll just go through it again. Hi, welcome to Honda. How can I assist you? Have you been here before? Those are questions that they really can't do a yes and no, even on have you been here before? If they say yes, immediately, even though it's a yes or no question, it's dynamite. I'm interested. Who did you talk to the last time you were here? See, the problem is, if you're just doing it by rote and you're not interested, you're not going to be on top of it. You're going to be reacting. And human beings establish a pecking order and establish who's in charge by asking questions. Think about this now. Hi, how are you? Welcome to Honda. My name's Scott, and your name is? Your name's Mason. Okay, well, now what's happened there? First of all, I've asked a question and you've answered. So because I asked and you answered, we keep doing that. Subconsciously, human beings establish I'm in charge because I keep asking and you have to keep responding to me. But also, when I ask and I get information because I got 2 ears and 1 mouth, I'm going to repeat back to you what you've told me. And the reason for that is that makes me a good guy. A good guy is a good listener because everybody wants to talk about themselves. And if you think about it, Mason, I'm glad you came, man, and you've been here before. Did you talk to Larry? Because he's off today. Did he know you were coming? Oh, he didn't? And you just stopped by? Not a problem. What was it you were looking for today? I'm interested. I'm out there. I've got some rapport going with Mason. Mason's now going to tell me what he's here to see. You know, that's the whole point to this business. If you want to get from point A to point B, you know, there are as many ways to get to the top of the mountain as there are mountains to climb. You just got to always get to the top of the mountain. And the way you get there is by having the conversation. You know, you want to get comfortable. Think of a duck. You ever see a duck on a pond? This is the most amazing thing in the world. The duck, he's just kind of floating out there. And if you look at him, he's just real serene. Nothing bothers him. You know, if it's raining, it just rolls right off his back. You ever looked under the water on that duck? Because if you did, he's just paddling to beat heck underwater, moving around, constantly in motion. And that's you. You need to, as a salesperson, get to that point where you're comfortable. You need to not put negative energy into your deal. You need to be the guy that people want to get next to. Nobody wants to be your next car deal. Think about it. When you walk up and you're out there and you're projecting on them car deal, I haven't sold a car in a week, car deal, that's negative energy, and people are empathetic and they pick up on that. Try being interested instead. Try realizing that this is a numbers game. I told you, it's a passing parade. When I was on the line, I told the same stories time after time after time after time to people. Do you know why? Because I knew it's a numbers game and I'm not always going to get everybody. And if I'm comfortable with that story, all I'm putting out is positive energy. You want to be part of that story. I'm the highest paid storyteller in the marketplace. I have the most fun and I make the most money. And I tell the same stories over and over. I'll tell you one on myself, as a matter of fact. 1992, I'm sitting in the pit at Fremont Ford. I'm delivering a car. And I'm telling a story to this husband and wife because she's pregnant about how my wife just had our first baby, 36 hours in labor, and he's in there going, I'm not coming out, I'm not coming out. 36 hours. She had the epidural. I'm in the chair. I'm ragged out, tired. She gets done. We have a beautiful baby boy. As I'm telling this story, a voice behind my head says, hasn't that kid had his second birthday already? Now think about that for a minute. The guy behind me's name's Rick, and he bought a car from me about 18 months earlier than that. And I told him that same story. And he's got a big smile on his face. Because see, that story allowed me to connect with them. And it allowed me to get in bed with them and take that advisory role. It puts a face on it, on what you're trying to do. Because conversational selling is so powerful. When we get to that point, if I've done this right, you know, and it takes us 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour to do the meet and greet, do the demo, do the things that we need to do, what you're going to find is when I've got that advisory position and we're sitting there and you're going, I know you want the Civic and you want to spend $250, but it requires $379, and then you pause. And when you pause, that's the tension. Because there's always tension in the conversation, always. But it's tension that they put in there, not you. You're not tense, you know where you're going, you're a duck. They're tense, you know why? Because they like you. They've got rapport with you. They've given you that advisory role and you're moving them down the path to buying a car, and now they're in that struggle with human nature to say, do I want to buy the car, do I not want to buy the car? And oh, by the way, lean on the pen because the copies have to be legible with your signature, and there's about 4 of them. And then you smile. So we've done this. We've taught folks the ability to do this and to have fun. I have guys that do this every day the same way every time. And they'll come in and say, boss, I need 350 on the pencil because that's where he's at, but let's start at 380. And you give them 380 and they go out and they have that conversation and they sit there and they chat and they talk and oh, by the way, lean on the pen, and then they come back in and they got 380. You know, you don't want to be the guy that's so afraid of the question. You know, I don't mind a no, but I ask it in the way that allows me to keep the conversation going. If you tell me no, that just means you haven't heard all the pieces yet that allow you to make that buying decision. Just means I've got to go a little bit further. Means I got to be tenacious and I got to have fun doing it. You know, anybody could do this business if you had a book and you opened it up and said, okay, you know what, Mason? The first 3 guys you talk to, you're not going to make a car deal with them. But number 4, you'll make that deal. And then you'll go 5 and 6, he'll come back later. And then 7, you'll make another one. Well, there's no book that way. And the problem is, if you knew that 1, 2, and 3 weren't going to buy a car from you, you'd shortcut those 3 to get to number 4. And the important part that salespeople today seem to miss is the process is important. You need to go through those steps with 1, 2, and 3, so when you get to 4 and you're doing it the same way, 4 is ready and he buys a car and you make money. You know, I've chatted about as long as I can freehand without taking a breath or a sip of water or cheating and looking at my notes. And I think this has probably been about 18 to 20 minutes long. What I want you to get is the passion that I feel for this and my ability to speak and improvise, and I think you've got that now. So I just want to say thanks again for taking the time to view this video of mine, and I'll wait to hear from you because like I said, I know when you get done with this, you're going to think the same thing I know, which is I'm the next elite trainer for TK Worldwide. Again, Scott Phillips, thanks for the time. Bye.